one is available to take your call. Please leave a message after the tone.
You grew up with fairy tales of monsters, demons and sinners. But what if I told you that they are real? That they walk among us, pulling the strings, shaping the world, and the lives that we all live. From the time we're young, we're taught what to fear. We're told monsters live in the dark, that they hide under beds, in cupboards, in shadows. We're told evil has a certain face, a shape, a voice. But no one tells us they can look human. Because the real monsters don't scream, they don't chase, they don't show their teeth. They wear tailored suits, speak in rehearsed compassion, and sell hope like a product. They build empires from suffering and call it success. These monsters don't lurk beneath the bed. They sit way there above us, in parliament halls and private jets, high enough that the consequence of their own actions will never even reach their feet. They maintain power without purpose. They count money, not bodies. They measure the whole world in profit margins and polling numbers, while entire generations are left drowning in debt and uncertainty. We live in a time where billionaires chase immortality, while millions are denied dignity. Where medicine exists, but only for those who can afford to survive. Where food is wasted in mountains, and hunger is treated like an unfortunate inevitability. We call it poverty, they call it efficiency. But somewhere along the way, we stop calling it what it really is. Violence. Slow, calculated and sanitized violence. They start wars, not for survival but for leverage. They turn countries into chessboards and human lives into expendable pieces. While they sign deals over polished tables, families sign death certificates in silence, and still they smile for the cameras. Still they promise safety, prosperity, stability, but they ask for patience. Patience, they say, while the planet burns. Patience, while forests collapse and cities suffocate, as if time itself were a luxury we can still afford. We grow up believing that if we work hard enough, if we try long enough, if we're patient enough, we'll be okay. Because now, monsters don't need to hide. They don't fear exposure. No, they own the platforms, the headlines, the narratives. They decide whose stories are told and what is buried beneath distraction. They keep us busy, arguing, consuming, competing, divided by borders, beliefs and algorithms. They teach us to blame each other, to fear each other, anything, as long as we never look up, as long as we never notice the boots on our necks. And slowly, subtly, they reshape our world, until cruelty feels normal, until greed feels inevitable. But do you want to know what the greatest trick they ever pulled was? They convinced us that they are necessary, that this is just the way things are, that power must concentrate and suffering must exist, because some lives are simply worth more than others. They convinced us that dreaming bigger was childish, that resistance was dangerous, that empathy was weakness, and so we all adapted. We learned to scroll past suffering, to step over homelessness, to absorb headlines of war, disaster and cruelty until they blur into background noise, to live alongside injustice without flinching, not because we don't care, but because caring about everything would break us. So we learn to feel less, to look away, to survive, and in doing so, the monsters grow stronger, because they don't need our fear, they need our exhaustion. They need us too tired to question, too distracted to notice. Yet somewhere, deep beneath all the numbness, the truth still stirs. The truth that this system is not broken. No, it is functioning exactly as it was designed to extract, to exploit, to discard. And these monsters at the centre of it all, they know all of this. In fact, they feed on despair, they thrive in chaos, and they flourish in our silence. But monsters, no matter how powerful, depend on one thing above all else. That's our belief, our hopelessness. Because the moment we stop believing in their invincibility, the moment we stop mistaking their authority for destiny, their power rots. You see, monsters, real monsters, aren't immortal. They don't live forever. They only survive as long as we allow them to. And just maybe maybe the story doesn't have to end with them.
To delete this message, press 7. To